Welcome to JackHorny.com show.
Hi folks, right. I said I'd do some of these Gail Dine vids. I'm a bit sleepy because I was up all night watching the voting thing in the UK. So you'll have to forgive me. I'm a bit drowsy. I'm hoping this record's okay because I think I set the volume on the last vids too high and they were clipping, which means that sounded pretty rubbish. So I've redone it. Anyway, this one I'm covering the Growing Up in a Pornified Culture by Gail Dines. It's a TEDx talk. So now it's about half an hour long. I'll put a link to it so you can see it. Now, a lot of these Gail Dines videos are pretty much the same. Basically, the idea is she tries to shock people. If you watch them, you can see there's a slight tactic. It's not slight, it's a huge tactic. What she tries to do is paint this shocking image. She tries shocking people. And once you see it, you realise that she just has nothing to say. It's just shock value. So let's go through it. She starts off, which I've seen. This is some. Basically, this video is what I've seen her do in a lot of the videos. She starts trying to shock people. I think the idea principally is that she's hoping she's speaking to people who really haven't any knowledge about the porn industry or ever gone on seen any porn or whatever, which means she can get away with a bit more. Because if you knew anything, you know it just sounds nonsense what she says. So anyway, she starts off with the usual, which is the internet world is different to the magazines of the old, she claims. Because she wants to shock you, pretending that the internet world's somehow more shocking than anything else. So then she goes on to begin with. What she uses is she tries to use everything as porn or this pornified. She encloses everything. So for the first 6 minutes, she starts discussing fashion magazines or whatever they are. They're not porn mags. They're just general magazines featuring women in undies and stuff like this. And then she starts saying that she tries to suggest it's a racist thing as well, that all the models she claims are white. And then she says, oh, but some people are black. Well, in society, if you think about it, in the UK, the population that's black is about 2%. So, you know what I mean? Normally, when you see people in these magazines, actually, you could argue they're over represented. And in reality, porn magazines don't sort of opt for just white women. They go for everyone, because they know people want to see someone of every type. She suggests that people in porn are just white, probably 18, blonde with big boobs, which isn't the case. Now you can go onto any webcam site and you'll see anyone can go on there. You, me, anyone, as long as you're over 18, well, 18 or over, you can do a webcam. You can go on to them. They don't stop you, whatever you look like. You can be quite old or whatever, quite overweight. I mean, in reality, the people I know will make a lot of money. I mean, there's some big girls out there that make a fortune. This shit. When you start listening to what she says, you realise she's done probably very little, if any, research. Even though she claims she's this expert, or she suggests she's this expert anyway, and everyone thinks she is. So then she goes on pretending that this is a race thing. You know, she just starts that off, and then she starts going on saying that, which is interesting. She claims that all the women have this "fuck me" look, which I think that's quite a dangerous thing to suggest, because it's almost like saying women who wear miniskirts deserve to be raped. I mean, that's almost the line, I'd say, what she's saying. I don't think. I mean, she's saying this is what she thinks the look is. This "fuck me" look. It's quite quite offensive, I'd say. I mean that she makes note of some pop singers, and she's claiming that's what they're saying, which I don't think it's for her to say what pop think singers or any of the models are thinking or why they're doing it. But you know what I mean. Facts don't matter. Let's just presume that's what a lot of these things are, presumption. And then she starts going on, I want you to think. And it's basically, she tries to put an image in people's heads. Oh, shock, shock, shock. I mean, this is the tactics. You know, we won't bother with any facts or anything, but we'll try and drum up some sort of imaginary, scary rich tale. So she tries scaring everybody, and a lot of people probably fall for it. I mean, you got to remember, a lot of people are a bit stupid to listen to her. Intelligent people can make up their own minds. In fact, she even goes on stating that there's more people going on porn sites than Netflix and some other big sites, which, you know, guess what? That would suggest it's popular. It would suggest that most of the population of the world can make up their own minds. And if it's such a big deal, you'd imagine by now half the world would be turned into mass murderers or whatever if it's such a bad effect on people. Yet you don't hear anything. So let's carry on. Shock, 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 which is going on. So this goes on for almost 5 minutes. We haven't covered any facts. It's just basically a lead up. Pointless, really. But if you've got no facts, you have to make up rubbish. Now she mentioned she spoke to a child rapist in prison. I think she says in prison. Whether she has or not, who knows? But she's trying to suggest rape and child rape and porn are connected. Although she doesn't mention it, it's sort of, you know, she's trying to suggest it basically. Because obviously there is no connection, but you know, let's just pretend. Yeah, it's like me talking about, I don't know, cars, and then I start talking about ice cream. You might think there's some connection. Well, there isn't, but you know, if I put it in the same talk, you can have a connection, can't you? So this goes on. So for another minute or so, she's trying to suggest, or she's talking about a chap who's raped children or his child or something. So we're on 6 minutes now. So we haven't even talked about porn yet. Actually, I don't think this is half an hour, this video. I think it's a lot less. Normally a video's going to be a lot longer. So after we've talked about some scare stories, what are we on to now? She starts, she pops up, sorry, I got a cough. A quote from a magazine. I think it's just a normal magazine. It's just a sentence, I forget, something. It's irrelevant, really. But that's her fact, that's her research, just something she's found in a magazine. Fact is, we don't know if this magazine's done any research themselves, so they're just making it up. I mean, you know what I mean? A lot of magazines and newspapers they have deadlines and they just write any old drivel just to get stories in papers or online. Sorry, the dog's just kicking everything in the background. Don't know if that picked up. But, you know, I mean, it's... you find if you ever read magazines or newspapers, they tend not to bother too much about facts or anything. It's easy just to type something up, just to get in. But that's her research. It's just a magazine article she posts. So I forget what it was about. It wasn't even that important, but I think she tried to use it as a shock value, and it was her method of trying to produce some evidence. I mean, this is how weak her evidence is. She's basically found a magazine, and that's her evidence. Now, when we talk about her having a PhD, most PhDs, even people with degrees, would know to use only real research, which is usually university based. So any other research is just drivel. I mean, we can all do research. It doesn't mean that it's done correctly or anything. So I always question the research. If it's not come from a university and a decent university, I'd suggest you dismiss it because it's often just drivel. Anyway, but so this research has done this vast because again she's got a PhD and she's vastly intelligent. She's just picked up a magazine and that's her research done. Well done. Must have spent hours doing that. And this is what people have her on TV. She's been on BBC News. This is the expert. You know what I mean? Why not just grab someone in the street that probably know as much as Gail does, if not more, about porn. Anyway, so this is. Oh, by the way, before I go on, this talk was 2015, April 2015, 28th of April 2015. I just thought I'd mention it. I forgot to mention at the top. Again, I'll put a link to the video. Now, she starts, and this is where now she posts some research finally. Now, what she claims is she talks about videos rented, and I'll put a screen grab because it's quite interesting, and it's about. She claims that out of so many videos rented, 88%. No, sorry. In her research, it's 90%. I don't know where she gets 90% from because the research she quotes, and I looked it up, and I'll do a screen grab, says 88% as some sort of abuse towards women. But you see, the way they do it is, you might think, oh, is that punching, beating someone up? No, it just includes things like slapping a woman's bottom. That's quite weak, really. I mean, there's no, playful spanking bottoms. So, but basically, that's how they get the abuse stats fully up. Because in reality, if they didn't have the spanking bottom, they'd probably find 0 or very low percents of abuse. And the other research that stats they have is swear words or something. I mean, I'll post the screen grab and the link to this research because I've only quickly looked at it. But to be fair, I always like to post the links so you can make up your own minds. Now, remember she's been talking about online. Now, I had a look at this, and again, I've only read it quickly, but it seems to be the videos I've looked at, which is about 300, is from around 1988. So it's unlikely these were online. I think they were rented videos. They're also clearly selective because they seem to be only featuring men and women. It doesn't sound like they've looked at any gay or lesbian or any other types of films. So they've opted to select what they're looking at. It's a bit like if I was to say I'm looking at 100 films and they've got violence in. But if I've only looked at horror films, of course they're going to be violent. You can do that if you're very selective. So this is why I don't think the research. I mean, I read it. It almost sort of. It doesn't sound like it's particularly that good research. But again, I'll post a link because I think it's important. But you'll notice Gail posts up 90%. And she says, I think on the text, she's trying to include other bits as well to get to the 90 mark. So basically, if you look at that, I think you'd agree, well, she's fudging the figures for her own benefit from research that isn't that particularly good to begin with. But people fall for that, and they'll walk away and go, ooh, that's shocking. So now we're at, let's fast forward to 8 minutes. Now she's talking again. She tries shocking everyone by saying that it's all 12-year-olds who are looking at porn, which I don't think that's true. But let's say I don't think it is, to be fair. This is where she slips up because I've talked about this in another video. She says what she's done. She actually quotes what she's done, and she tells us to do this. So I did it. I did it myself. She says if you Google porn, the first vid is a gagging film. So I tried it. Guess what? The first film I got wasn't gagging. In fact, I went through 40 videos. Haven't seen gagging yet, so sorry. Don't know what's going on there. I guess doing it, I mean, I did exactly how she's described it. But again, I mean, I think it sounds like she's making it up, but you never know. Maybe she isn't. I don't know. But like I said, I tried it, and so did several other people. None have come across as gagging the way she described. But we go on to something more interesting. She then quotes a website, I think it's called Gag Me, Fuck Me, or something, and she uses the text from that. She reads it out, and yeah, I mean, I don't know how many pages this site's got. I presume it's a pay site. I don't know if it's a free porn tube site or what, but I'm guessing, because I can't be bothered looking, to be honest, it's a pay site. So obviously the vids will be in the members area. And she reads out the text from that as if that represents all the porn sites. Now, she's clearly searched this one out. I mean, she must have spent ages trying to find the most shocking site she could find, because I haven't heard about this site. I mean, because I have one of the websites and I promote sites, you'd think I'd come across it, but she must have been Googling the most obscene thing going just to find it. I don't think that she's trying to make out this is a standard site we'd all come across, but I don't think it is. I think it's something you'd struggle to find unless you're really looking for something. And then she does the normal, and I've heard her say this before. She starts going on how feminists are men's best friends. I've heard this drivel before. She tries to make out that she's the one, well, that feminists are actually the ones that help men or something. Got to always remember, well, one thing I always say about feminists is you've always got to remember that the left wing, middle class, mainly white people. Even in, I mean, this is Gail Downs who's going on about mainly white women in porn. Well, we ever actually see her. She's normally surrounded by mainly white women, middle class. So, you know what I mean? It's not something that represents working class women. It's why you'll find working class women don't really tend to link themselves to feminists. Probably why this Labour government didn't do well in this election. They claimed to be for the working class, but the working class completely rejected them. They didn't want to be connected to this left wing rubbish. They seem to be. I mean, in fact, I think they even admitted it. They're now a middle class party, and you know it's made up. I think even Jeremy Corbyn's apparently worth. I've read it. I don't know if it's true. You'd have to look it up. He's apparently worth a few million. I mean, some even says claims he's worth more than Boris Johnson, which I don't know if that's true or not. And he's also married to an ex-banker, which, you know, I mean, they'd say they're anti-bankers. That probably was why you never saw his wife too much. Anyway, that's just a side note, but feminists are just, they look after themselves. One of the things I always note about feminists is they never defend the working class women. If they're talking about women in work, it's usually senior jobs, important jobs. You know what I mean? They don't talk about the importance of women mechanics or anything. You never hear that. They don't give a rat's ass about working class. Just like Labour really didn't care about the working class. They're more into talking down to the working class, telling the working class what they should think, what they should do. You know what I mean? I think by sounds of it, well, the impression I got from this Labour lot was we're all flat cap wearing idiots who would be hoping we could all live in nice mouldy council housing. None of us want to work, and we all want to sit around. I don't know. It's just pathetic. They certainly don't want us to do anything by the sounds of it. But anyway, that's going off track. So she starts trying to blag it that feminists are men's best friends, which they're not. I don't think they're best friends for even other women, nor mind. I mean, this is the other thing. One of the things that amuses me, well, maybe it's not amusing, it's sad really, is that feminists claim to be for women, yet they don't believe in other women's rights to do anything. Again, porn is something they object women doing. You know, they believe they have the right to tell other women what to think, what to do with their bodies. Which you think, if I was to say to a woman, you must do this, you must do that, or you must think this, I'd be shot down by all these feminists. Yet it's all right for them to do it. And one of the things that you'll find is Gail Dines and other anti-porn people, all these feminists, they rarely, in fact, I don't think they ever do, talk to anyone who works in porn, especially women. And they'll come out with silly facts such as men run the porn industry. They'll completely dismiss the fact that you've got the bulk of porn right now on the internet is women doing webcam, working for themselves, but they don't want to admit to that. And they'll also won't talk about lesbian porn or gay porn because that doesn't fit into the gender. The only porn they ever talk about is where a man has sex with a woman. Not even the fact where a woman might tie a man up and abuse him. We ignore that. They have to only look at one certain type. Yeah, just because the rest doesn't fit into the gender. So then, right. So then she tells us what mainstream porn is. This is what she does now. She claims she now knows what she classes as mainstream porn, which she claims is all anal and all abuse. Again, she doesn't mention lesbian or gay porn or bi porn or I don't know what else. Transsexual porn, anything like that. She only mentions one type. Then we go on to let's see. She states, then to finish off, she starts listing lots of facts which haven't been proved. In fact, if you look at another video I did, they've been disproved. But that doesn't matter to her. I mean, she doesn't actually state the evidence. She just lists it as if it's fact. And because she's got a PhD, everyone believes. And you'll see in the comments in the YouTube, they're all clapping, marvellous, marvellous. Oh, it's marvellous. Oh, she speaks for us. Oh, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it shows how moronic these people are because they don't say, can you provide us the evidence? They're too stupid. You see, this is why I always think these people are more, well, we know they're stupid because they'd ask for the evidence. You'll find I always produce the evidence. If I ever say anything, I will produce the evidence. Or at least I'll say, if I haven't got any evidence and I'm presuming it, I'll say I presumed it. I won't say this is fact if I don't have the evidence. But you'll notice in all these videos, she rarely, in fact, ever produces the links to anything. And no one ever questions her because they don't want to look stupid, I guess. So she's allowed to just rabbit on. But like I say, the facts she comes up with, no evidence. There's none of it. There's nothing to prove it. And everything, all the studies, everything she's gone through, the studies have stated she's wrong. But, and I'll, again, if you look at one of my other videos, I've linked a list. In fact, what I'll do is I'll find the video and add the link to it so you can check the facts out yourself. But again, this is just a quick video. I mean, most of Gail Dine vids are virtually the same. Just everything's presumed, no facts that are backed up with evidence. And what's more interesting, I always say, the most interesting thing I find about Gail Dine's videos is just reading the comments because the people they're bizarre. I mean, I don't know if they've got some mental health problems or what, but the stuff they post is bizarre. People claim they've got some sort of psychological problems, and I read one where, I've gone X amount of days without looking at porn, and everything's getting so healthy for me. You're just thinking, you're talking as if they're actually smoking or taking heroin or something and just quit. It's weird. It's really weird. But anyway, I'll do a few more of these. I mean, like I said, they bore the pants out of me because it's just the same videos, basically. It's just usual same stuff, she says. So, usually they're just longer, and it's tactics. I mean, once you realise the tactics, you realise she's got nothing to say. It's usually normally, and she hasn't done it on this, but she normally calls the men who make porn fires. I can't remember, porny men or something. That's it. I think she calls it porny men. In fact, I mean, she forgets that women make porn, but that doesn't matter. And like I posted in the other video, guess what was the biggest selling, top 3 selling books for the last 10 years? It was the 50 Shades of Grey books, which I believe were predominantly, sorry, I'm probably pronounced that wrong. They were mainly bought by women. So, I mean, I know that girl, I think there's an article where she goes ballistic, does Girl Dies, because she can't stand the fact women are into 50 Shades of Grey, and it's almost it's as if they've committed carpal sin by buying this book, because apparently the thought of women engaging in some sort of sexual act where maybe they're tied up, oh, it's beyond belief. She can't understand it. Degrading. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. But like I said, I mean, Gail Dines is quite easy to go through the videos because she never posts evidence, and when you look at it, it's just nonsense. But people, it sounds shocking, but once you start watching all the videos, you realise it's just shock. It's shock tactics. It's almost like a religion. It's almost believe my religion, and it's like, ooh, it is. It's more religion than anything. Anyway, that's just. I'm hoping this is recorded okay. All right then, folks. Cheers.